right, welcome back to everyone to episode 11 of the Ethos podcast. We have cracked the 10 from the last episode, and we had a week break doing an event and then digesting all fun things at this 10th. And we've got a new person joining us. Well, new to the podcast, but not really new to Ethos. Him and his wonderful pink shorts is Nick Argent. Say hello to the people.
How you going?
Excellent. Alrighty, so this episode, what we're going to do, we're going to kind of cover, intro Nick, because that's always an important thing, because we're getting through all the rest of the Ethos boys. We've got, I think, 5 more that we haven't got.
Yeah,
so we've already done about 5 or 6, and we've got probably 5 more to go. Then we're going to do a little bit about Battle Brothers, which just went. It was the last event in 9th. And we're both, we've got top 5. I got one of the podium spots. Bit of a retrospective on 9th, which is
good way to end it.
Yeah, it's always a good way to end it, and it's definitely been my favorite edition.
Yeah.
And some initial thoughts of 10th.
Yeah, fun game.
Thoughts could be, rant. I'm sure we'll just leave that into the ether.
Yeah, stick to 9th.
That's right. We'll be like the people who went to Age of Sigma and said, "Nah, we're staying with 9th Age.
Yeah.
But that's it. We're not doing that." Wouldn't that be a meme?
Sorry, G-Dub. Yeah, we ain't touching it.
Alrighty. So that's what the episode is about. Thank you for listening.
Done.
It was like, nice and short. 5 minutes done. All right. So, Nick, tell us, who are you and what brings you to the world of 40k?
Yeah, well, I like playing 40k with big stuff. Nothing better than dropping big models on the table, tabling your opponent in 2 turns, and having a good time. Yeah.
So you'd love 10th then?
Yeah, like 10th is my jam. 2 games and only 4 turns. It's beautiful. Yeah. You've probably seen me rocking my short pink pants. They do help you play. They're good for you. Good
You've
breeze.
got a majestic mullet.
Yeah, beautiful little ranger mullet going as well. Very intimidating. Probably helps me win half of my games. My opponents just are scared.
You carry around like a little spotlight behind you.
Yeah, with a fan as well, so it breezes in the thing. But yeah,
excellent. For 40k, do you? So one of the things that we talk about is like people in Ethos generally do all aspects of the hobby. Some people do fucking crazy painting, all that type of stuff. Others are more focused on the competitive playing of it, but most of the people, I'm going to say most, but all the people in Ethos, they're not cunts in essence. So, do you take part in like all the aspects of the thing? Like, do you paint? Reasonably well.
Yeah, I paint when I try to paint. These days, not so much. It's too much effort for me. I can't be bothered. But yeah, I've painted a lot in my time. Painted my stuff. That's how I got into the game in the first place, was painting. I had a nice chaos collection of almost every chaos models, and then one day Mum came in and said, "Why don't you actually use them?" And then I thought, oh well, time to try it, and started off like in the start of 9th edition was the first games I ever played. My first competition, I think it was in Ace Comics, I think it used to be called, in Annalee there, and played some games there, and then I was hooked from that, to be honest. And then
so you were actually a collector before you started playing?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Just because I knew no one who played either way and all that. I just liked the look of the models.
When did you start?
When was the start of 9th?
No. When did you start collecting, not playing?
No. It was a few months before like that. Really? So yeah.
So in a couple of months, you managed to get like a giant collection of chaos.
Yeah. I just spent all my
Yeah. So this is young people.
stopped collecting Pokemon cards and started collecting Warhammer, and
more money than sense, which is literally most of 40k players anyway. But
and then I thought, oh, we'll try and play them, and then I started playing, and then the game was fun, and I liked it, and met tons of amazing people through playing it, and it just makes the game better. So continued on from there, and
so which one of the Ethos boys did you meet first? Like, was it one of the events?
The first Ethos boy I ever played would have been Alex. I played Alex back in the Normal Blokes first 9th edition tournament. I played there.
Okay.
And I remember he played Custodes, and I played 4 Big Knights. And yeah, that was fun. Alex was nice then, not so much now. But yeah.
Oh, fuck, I love it.
Yeah, and then I remember I played. You would have been the next person I played. Played one of the team events for Gladiator Gamings, and
that's right. You had.
I had Mortarion,
a bunch of knights and
Baby Knights, and
that's right. I played the Tyranids, and I had my
Dimacharion
jump over you and then fail the charge, and I was like, oh well.
And then one of my little Moiraxes with the Siege Claw one-shot the Dimacharion, and it just went downhill from there.
Yep.
And then I think you were the most played and the most victories for me as well, because I remember playing you with triple Void Bomber, and that was your while we stands, and dropped in 3 bombs at the start and didn't do a single wound, and then it just went downhill from there. And
that's right. So it's like you're my curse almost. It's like I play you, I get dunked on, and I was like, oh, okay, that shouldn't happen.
I don't think I've lost to you in competitive 40k. I only think we played twice, but I don't think I have.
In practice we have, but not in actual tournament. In tournaments. We've only played the twice, and you beat me both times.
200% win rate. I'll take it. It's nice. Yeah,
that's right.
And then I became friends with Eric, and that was that. And,
excellent.
Yeah.
And we took you under our wing, so to speak.
And started playing for Ethos, and just a bunch of great dudes, to be honest, and Alex and.
Yeah, you're not a slouch in your own playing, as I said. The first couple of times. This is before you even, were getting a lot of good practice in. You were still dunking on me. And, and then in the most recent ATC, you did fantastic.
Yeah, played my knights and had fun. Yeah, ATC was cool.
Yeah. What was your score overall?
3-1-1, I think. 3 wins, a draw, and a loss, and both those were to Imperial Knights. So And
Imperial Knights have it over Chaos Knights in 9th, yeah?
They're it's much of a muchness. If you pop off and roll them. If they pop off and roll you. But they're a lot more defensive than your Chaos Knights in 9th with the -1 damage 4-up inverse. So you can just get tanked, and then their autocannons kill you. Your autocannons don't kill them, and they outwin the trade. So most of the time, but you score better than them. So it's if you can survive, you can win, and if not, you just get tabled.
That seems to be. It's why you're playing the triple Wraith Knight or the Elder right now in 10th.
Yeah,
it's like, you know what? I like that. I like the cut of their jib.
Yeah,
survive to turn 2 and then win the game. Excellent.
That's why I played Eldar in 9th at the end of 9th, just so I wasn't meta chasing into 10th. You know what I mean? I played Eldar for a whole previous edition, so I just didn't jump on it. So it's all good.
I played Elder before they were cool.
Yeah, I played him. Yeah.
You literally have a result from Battle Brothers saying, I came 5th with Old Eldar.
Yeah. And Gold Coast as well.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah. Alrighty, so other than, say, meeting Eric and playing against a bunch of us, what else got you into Ethos?
Just being part of a cool team, you know what I mean? What guys in there? Just joined in one day and never looked back. You know what I mean? Like saw other people having fun with all their like in the other groups there are like normal blokes, TNA and all that, and I was never a part of like a club before that, and the club life was cool and then going to Eric's every weekend kind of thing, playing around with all the boys and whatnot.
It was just a natural progression.
Yeah. Just moved through, and it progressed my 40k career as well, joining up with like a bunch of good people teaching you stuff and all that. So it wasn't like you're going into a club and you're just a little scrub down there. They actually listened to you and taught you how to play and answered your questions if you had questions and whatnot. So it was like a big thing from being just a random person asking another random person for help, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And putting aside 10th for a second, so what is it that keeps you coming back for 40k? Like, what's driving you to stick with 40k and kind of pushing your way through it?
The amount of money I spent on it. No, just coming out for a weekend, you know what I mean? Getting away and playing some games and actually having fun with the game. You know, like you've hobbied this stuff and then you actually get to use it and having fun with it. It's a big deal. It's not like
pretty much what your mum said.
Yeah,
it's like, all right, you've got this now.
Why not use it? Yeah. And then just meeting new people, like traveling around when we go to different tournaments around Australia and whatnot, and meeting cool people, and then be like, hey, I've talked to you on Facebook before about nights, and you're like, oh, that's a cool feeling, you know what I mean? Like you help them build lists or something like that. So there's that, and then team events are a good time too.
Yeah,
just playing with the team, and
excellent. All right. Well, I think we've covered off. As you guys know, I do a little bit of like show notes and things like that. And the 3 things I wrote for Nick were: plays big stuff well, wears a mean pair of pants, and has a great mullet. So we have ticked all of those. We have covered Nick to a T, I think. So let's get into Battle Brothers.
Battle Brothers, yeah.
So
good event.
Great event.
Yeah, perfect way to finish the 9th edition, like in a nice spot. $12 lunches at the Pine Rivers, if you remember. Like, you can't go wrong with that while playing. And a bunch of good people there.
Yeah. So, Northside guys, as always, run great event.
Quality event, yeah.
This was a big fundraiser that we did. So, I said this to Liam the other day, that the very first kind of fundraising event that we did for ETC, or WTC, was called ETC Moneyball. So we held it at Eric's house. It was 8 players, and we all chipped in. It was $50 entry. The first place got like 40% of the pot, and then 60% went to the team. Yeah, good idea, but just not enough interest. Let's put it that way. This time, same type of thing. I think almost all the money went in. Yeah. Some of it went to the club to just they have to hire those,
upgrades and
everything. Yeah. But I think it was it 3.5K, something like that. They make the announcement that that's what was donated to the team.
Bonkers, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic
solid
stuff.
Amount of money, yeah.
So that's what, like 1.5 people's flights. Maybe not even that. Yeah. But still good. It's very, very well done, guys. So for me, I ran. I wanted to kind of finish 40k for 9th ed in a way, because it was by far my favorite edition. I've been playing since 2nd ed. I've played every edition since, and 9th, it was the one that captured. It felt the most balanced. It was the one that captured my imagination the most.
Played in every phase too. It wasn't a.
Yeah, and it's one of. So I played all of my armies. So I collect all of the Tyranids, like Tyranids, GSC, Elder, Dark Elder, and Harlequins, right?
I saw a Rhino down there, so you lied.
A Rhino?
Yeah, you have a Rhino in your cupboard underneath your big Revenant.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not saying I don't have other models.
Oh, so you didn't play all your armies.
That's not an army. That's just... That was a security van in my... Anyway, we're getting off topic. The point being is, this edition, it went for 3 years, and I played competitively, like at the high level, either at ATC or at WTC, all 4 of my armies. Very, very happy with how everything went. Dark Elder were one of the ones I played and did really well at the beginning of last year, so like a year and a half ago. But they kind of went downhill, and they said, you know what, I want to finish off this edition, and I've had 2 Tantaluses for about 2 years now. My wife Sonia, she painted them. She finished painting them back in January, so about 6 months ago. And I was worried that they would become legends, you know. So they.
It looks like they are, sadly.
Yeah. Look, I don't want to say yes or no because they weren't on the list of things. Like the Dark Elder Reaper, for example, is legends. Like it's not to be used. But anyway, I said I'm going to run these 2 Tantaluses. I really want to do it. I want to do the Meat Mountain because I didn't do the kind of courtiers of the Homunculus or whatever it's called. So I want to build an army like this. And sometimes this is just I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but this is just a thing that if you're in this hobby for long enough, and I'm talking to you and to the people out there, because I don't do armies, I do collections, right? And you kind of cycle through your collections, and something is strong and something is weak, and you can kind of just the thing, and we'll get to it when we get to 10th, like the rant about 10th, but the thing about doing collections and having a couple of collections, you don't have to go crazy and have every army on the earth, but
these models get left out.
Well, it's not just that, it's you never have to feel so down, because if you've got a couple of collections that are kind of disparate, they're not exactly the same type of army.
Play something different all the time.
Yeah, Tyranids and GSC aren't identical of an army. They're in the same faction, but they play differently. Elder and Dark are the same concept, right? And so you can kind of cycle, if you kind of focus on 3 to 4 collections, you can cycle through them, and there's
always got stuff to keep it fresh.
Yeah, there's something there. There's always going to be something there that means that even if 3 out of 4 of your armies are crap, that last army won't be crap. And as long as you are okay with, and you should be, if you're focusing on your collection, then you should be able to go and switch to that other collection and find an army there. Anyway, for me, I wanted to do Dark Elder because some of the kind of leaks for 10th Ed showed that they weren't going to be top tier, but I thought, maybe there might be something there. I want to run the Tantaluses. Let's see if I can make it a quick army, because ATC finished. I gave you all my Elder and said, "Here you go, have my babies." And
I did.
And I went off and I came up with a list which it had some clear reds, specifically knights. Knights are the bane of its existence, but it can beat pretty much anything else.
It's got game and everything.
And as was proven on the weekend, I submarined because my first round was against the eventual winner, Will Milton, and his knights.
So I called it before the event. My finals was Simon versus Will, and they got to play round 1. So
so we did the finals in reverse. We just did the finals in reverse.
Yeah,
and so we played. He beat me quite well. I mean, I scored all my points, but I didn't have any models left at the table. So it was a 12-8 win in WTC to Will. So I kept in there, but I just didn't have anything to actually kill enough. I think I killed 4 knights by the end of the game or something like that. It was 3 or 4. It wasn't a lot. And I took Bring It Down. So, I don't score a lot there.
6 points, rough.
But the rest of the games, Tantaluses are amazing in terms of they're fun. Not amazing in that they're broken as hell. Because they're 18 wounds, they can be targeted from across the board.
When you get your 4 up, feel no pain. They sound pretty broken.
Yeah, I managed to get that one time. That was probably the funnest game. Was I managed to line up a turn where I charged with the Tantalus against a 1 wound model left in the unit, kill it in combat, and then pop the 4 up, feel no pain, and just laugh.
And then it wasn't fun for your opponent.
Man, he was playing Votan, and he was just trying to kill this thing. So he was going pew 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 pew.
And you were going 4 up. 4 up.
By the end of the game, because his fortress exploded, it got down to 1 wound. So it was, he killed the other one. He just looked at it and killed the other one, but this one didn't die.
Did not.
Yeah. So I did well with the other games. Got 5 wins, and I lost my first game and came second overall. What about yourself, mate?
I went 4-1-1.
Yeah. And talk about your list.
I played Simon, as Simon has written down here, his ATC list, but it's converted to ulthwe just because I like re-rolling. and the spells were consistent. Didn't stuff up like last time where I re-rolled my re-rolls in with CP, which I thought Eldar was very busted, but it's just only slightly busted. So that.
What made you do the switch? So you've been playing Knights for like a year, in prep for ATC and all that stuff.
I just wanted something different. You play the same thing over and over again. Knights are very streamlined, where it's not they have like 30 or 40 data sheets. It's some big boys and small boys, and it's just always the same. It's fun, but it's just the same thing over and over again. And I'm like, well, it's coming to the end of the edition. Why not try something different? You know what I mean? So
why Eldar? Is it just because
Eldar? Well, at ATC, I had.
You said they looked fun.
Yeah, I had a really good game against Brody, and just after that, I just wanted to play. The shrouds look cool. The shrouds flying around, being so obnoxious. Just being able to play the game where you can shoot someone and run back like a little bitch is so good.
A game literally 10th.
And just
it's like 10th and Eldar is exactly everything you're talking about. It's like, I like this. Oh yeah, I guess it does that. I like, oh yeah, it does that.
Except you don't need to run back anymore. You just sit there and you don't die at all. Nothing wounds you. Wraith Knights just go, okay.
Oh no, you did is like, that's a nice charge that you got there. Run away.
Phantasm. Yeah, cool.
And then you go, oh, look at this one here, Overwatch. Yep, cool. And what else? Oh, oops, yep, dead.
Oh, that's a cool little character you got there. Oh, the Incarn's gonna fly over there and snipe you and guaranteed charge you, and then hit you back, teleport around behind you, and you can't fight. Yeah, nice, cool. 10th is fun. But yeah, I played ulthwe. I liked El Chad. He had 3 spells. He probably one of my MVPs. Baharov was bonkers. The things you can do with Baharov, it's just not right. And then the 10, I wanted to run a brick of Wraithguard, and the Feel No Pain from Mortals was really helpful on them. So that was another big, and then and they reroll a hit and wound with the thing, just made them like so much more solid, and they did work for me most games. Whether or not they're a tanky Eldar thing that, because Eldar normally falls over, but just them sitting on an objective being annoying and all that, and being able to. I had the problem of when I played the Gold Coast event, I just couldn't kill big stuff. Didn't play enough to learn how Eldar's psychic really worked and all that, and couldn't kill big stuff. And now I had a 400 point blob of death that just minced. And then I played some good games. 4-1-1. Drew against my ATC list. Brent playing my Chaos Knights. Hard game. Chaos Knights are stupid. But yeah, the Wraithguard in that game too, they were the only reason that kept me in it. And spells, Doom, Jinx, Guide, they still die with your shrouds going and then just hiding again. So he has to come to you or nothing happens. And yeah, the only reason I lost was failing Restrain turn 1 with a CP reroll on his Storm guy. And
you drew, you mean?
Yeah, I drew, yeah, sorry. That cost me 4 points, so there was that. Then I played Zach, the Glass, playing his Eldar, his full alpha Eldar. I had this conversation with Simon before the game that the Eldar mirror, there is like 4 stages to it before you actually play the game of who gets first drop, who gets first redeploy, who gets first turn, and then in priority targets as well, who gets first movement of the objective. And I got all that. Everything went right, which probably saved my ass from getting tabled quickly as...
Because Zach's... and I told Nick about this. Zach's list had the double Night Spinner, which ignore cover.
Yep.
And as I found from my practice games for ATC, the perfect killing machine against Shroud Runners is actually Night Spinners that ignore cover. It annoyed the crap out of me because I didn't run any in my list. And overall they're a bit of a weakness, but they're fantastic in the mirror.
Yeah, and they're like they have the crystal targeting matrix, so they ignore all hit modifiers. So you still take the neg 1 for the ballistic skill of out of line of sight, but you ignore, or do you?
Yeah. No, you do that, but
then you can't lightning fast.
They're quick enough though to get line of sight in general.
Yeah, and that was an insane game. I took Assassinate, which was fine, but at the end of the game we drew. No, I lost by 1 point, and I had 3 characters on 1 wound, so it was a tight game. But yeah, it's very lucky to have everything go in my favor first to even keep me in that game. So that, and then to finish the event off, playing Ivan, which was probably the best game of the tournament because he's just such a lovely dude. And we just had a good game. I got lucky, got first turn again. Forward deployed my striking scorpions for the first time ever, and they killed a character, so that was nice. And then I made a little big mistake of I set up a nice Auspex scan, forewarned or whatever it is for the Eldar, and had my spiders sitting at the back ready to go, and I told him about it too. I was like, I'm going to scan you if you're coming in, and he's like, oh yeah, cool. And then he doesn't come in the movement phase and goes teleport and psychic. I was like, shit. 6 full buff flamers come in my ass and just picked up a lot. But yeah, after that, it was just, he had to come to me, and it was in my favor and whatnot. He went full killy, so I could just sit there. I got my stuff off, and I just scored, and he come to me slowly, and I just kept killing him. So yeah, that was that. But yeah, it was a perfect tournament.
The something I noticed, because it's not that often that I lose the first game, but this time I did, and it's not that it reminds me from years before, but it's always good to play some new people, and because I dropped down in essence, I was still high on my loss, but I got to play 3 new people that I'd never played against. Like I've met before, but I just never played against. Was it 3? No, 4 new people. 4 out of the 6 were people I hadn't played against.
Coming up from they aren't like the submarine, as you say. You just get to play the people, and they're probably the more nicer than your people you play up top, because they're just there having fun playing their armies. And then,
that Will guy.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Imagine playing knights, honestly.
Oh, I know. He was just full on whack player.
Pretty sure he was part of the event too, stacked it so he versed you round 1.
Oh yeah, probably.
Just so he could win the tournament.
And he was tweaking the terrain and all that sort of stuff. No, when I designed the tables, I would make sure that my knights could do it. It's all coming up, or Millhouse in this case. So when you come up with kind of lists and list ideas and tweaks and all that type of stuff, that was one of the things I noticed for your night list, but also when we were working on the Eldar stuff. Like I was taking you through the different types of Eldar, and you were testing a few different things, but you've got your own kind of views or your own thoughts on where you want to take a list. And that's admirable from my point of view. Like I told you, like my ATC list, or with some minor tweaks, I think is the strongest, but it's not the only way to run.
I remember you telling me you can't write a bad Eldar list. At the end of the day, Eldar just it will still score. It will still you'll still have a good time.
So take us through just some of that mindset. Like, what do you look for when you're kind of coming out with a list?
First thing is I look for how to exploit my weaknesses, which was like the psychic phase was hard for me when I was writing it, and killing big stuff. So I instantly looked for big damage, which was the Wraithguard Blob. I was like, sick. That's my problem solved. 400 points down the drain, but they're ready to go. And then building the psychic, I just wanted something that was efficient, but I also like to play a little bit different to what everyone else. I'd just take bits of their stuff and add it in, and then that and ulthwe looked cool. It gave me the +1 on the first cast, and then and it was just Elchad in there doing work. But normally I will just look for, try and capitalize on what I'm good at in the list, and then to fill all the weaknesses kind of thing.
And so that's more for singles, I guess. Yeah. What about for teams? Like, what's an example? Like when you're building your Chaos Knight, or at least tweaking it.
Oh, when I'm building like the Chaos Knights and that, it's more that you can. With playing with knights, you really want to be able to still score points even if you get punished. So being able to play the game, and because like mech lists like that can have the chance of just getting tabled quick and then the game's over. But those,
because you ran the 13 baby knights, wasn't it?
13 knights, so I can still like, you've always got stuff there. You know what I mean? It's not like you're running 2 big dogs or something like that. That your opponent, oh cool, you've unlocked the last player's tower with 3 hammer hands and 2 riptides and whatnot, and your table turn 1. You know what I mean? There's not. Whereas the 13 knights, you can hide them, you can fit them, you can just feed 1 a game, you can sit there and play defensive with them. So your opponent is going to bring it down, but they have to come to you to get their points. So you just want to build there and be able to score as much as you can for the team. And it's also a very good bully list. Not much can deal. Was dealing with 11 dogs at 14 wounds T7 and 3 more at T12, and it played the game well. Fast obsec stuff doesn't want to verse it. Eldar doesn't want to verse it. We had that. Whereas like I'd take the Eldar, the squishy list that couldn't handle, and all these assault Gatlings and low leadership stuff just hurt them. Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty, so looking at my little run sheet, as I said, 9th, absolutely my favourite edition so far.
My first edition. Yeah. So my favourite edition too. Can't complain. Yeah.
Got 450 to 500 games under my belt over the 3 years that it was there. Over 100 of those were on TTS in Colombia for the 6 months, that we were there. The start of 9th, and some of that was during lockdown, and then lockdown finished in Colombia, and then it was kind of we were still kind of constrained to the house, and I wasn't working. I was just looking after the kids, doing homeschooling, and then in the afternoons playing 1 to 2 games every afternoon. It's American time zone, and so just smashing out the games.
Yeah, fair. No.
It was good. For how the edition developed over the time, what do you remember?
I just remember it when I first started playing, While We Stand and all that was a thing, and it was a very defensive game. People would just sit back and they'd have their little 3 special characters chilling and whatnot, and then that gone, and then it went into a real killy stage where everyone was just brawling, and then it kind of just plateaued out to a nice, everyone was playing in every phase. There was nothing. Sure, Harlequins were at a point where they were just, but no one really played Harlequins around here, to be honest.
Australian Masters, that's where I dropped, because I lost the game against that. I was running Crusher Stampede.
Yeah.
Played 9 Void Weavers.
Oh, yeah.
Got table turn 2, and I was like, all right, well, I'm out.
Yeah, I think I played one event with the 9 Void Weavers, and I came second with it, and then that was 9 3D printed Void Weavers just for the event, and they were... Light was strong, but and then the game was just even. There was been factions, but most of the time you could play whatever, and you're gonna have like decent games into everyone. It's not like it came to a point where like games were on skill, not army. You know what I mean? Like it was just.
And I think there's also a Brisbane thing. Like I was reflecting on this today. I read the Goonhammer, competitive. When they cover what events have happened over the last week, and around the world, if you have a look, it's still you've got Iron Hands, Imperial Guards, you've got maybe Yanari, things like that, right? I think there was 5 events or 4 events that they covered, and all of the other events were the same kind of 2 or 3 armies, right? Yeah. Our event, it had 5 distinct. So he did the top 5 distinct factions, and you got Knight, okay, cool, and then you got Jakari. You've got Eldar down on at 5th. There was Necrons,
Tyranids,
yeah. And you look at that, and it's like
weird. Yeah.
Drakari and Tyranids, like right now at the end of ninth.
And even Necrons. Yeah.
Yeah, but you look at that, it's like, holy shit. Like, I don't only like where the meta kind of finished for ninth. Like, I wouldn't mind playing it for another, even 6 months, really. But where the meta ended in ninth, but also the meta that's in Brisbane, which is really, I don't know. It's not just balanced, but it's just like we're not all just taking whatever the world thinks is number one and just running a million of those. Everyone's taking a lot of different things.
Everyone's just playing what they like, you know what I mean? It's not at the end of that. They're not playing to win per se. They're just playing their armies that they like, and because everyone's just better here too, that they actually do good with their armies too. So you can come here and play whatever and have a good time, and you'll still see all these random armies just up the top thing that you look over there and they're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I know on TTS I played against Paulie's Necron list with the million flayed ones and stuff like that. It's a strong list, and if you are not prepared for it, he can just dumpster you.
Yeah,
like he's done
100%. And running a night scythe too, like using flyers at the end of the edition, just cool. Necrons are cool.
Yep. All right. Well, look, we have sucked the proverbial wang of ninth for everything that's got. Let's. Well, how long have we been doing this? Yeah, let's for at least 10-15 minutes. We're gonna have a little bit of a intro / discussion /
the old 10th edition.
Maybe a rant for the 10th ed.
So what, we played 2 games, had 4 turns, and called it there. And
yeah. So I was running Drakari, as I said. I wanted to test it out. I am probably versing the most interesting of the opponents, being Eldar, and you ran 2 styles of list. You went the triple Wraith Knight list, of course. That's
triple Wraith Knight, triple Prism, just a dumb list that you should feel bad if you play. Like,
and what's the other one, which is just MSU cheap shit?
I mean, it's still like a mech, like triple. It was Dark Eldar. It was Eldar with Dark Eldar. Triple Fire Prism again. They're just good, very consistent. Triple Ravager. They got Deep Strike now, so they can just drop in and unload on them. Because,
as you mentioned, the footprint of this second list that the first time we played is very big, so you need to kind of Deep Strike.
Eldar tanks they take up a lot. And then
they're chonkers.
Yeah. Night Spinners are good. I forgot that the Night Spinners are -2 movement and no advance on them as well. So, yeah.
Even against fly?
Everything. I'm pretty sure it's just if they hit a target, it's something. Wraithguard.
Yeah, and so this other list, you then rent the full squad of Wraithguard.
Yeah, 10-man Wraithguard with the bitch that brings them back in each command phase. And
then if you happen to look at them with, say, a pistol, they'll just shoot you and just say, thanks for that.
Oh, you hit me in combat? Nice. Bam.
Yeah. Because that reflective, that's 1 per game, isn't it?
Which?
If you get targeted, you can shoot them back.
I think it's all the time.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know.
No. All right. Well, while he's looking at there, I'm going to go back to ranting about Eldar. So probably this is. So I have, as I said, I've been through the start of
once per battle round.
Once per battle round or
battle round.
Battle round?
Once per battle round, when an enemy unit targets this unit, after it's finished making attacks, this unit can shoot as if it was your shooting phase.
Yeah, which also includes combat.
Yeah, it makes your guns pistol.
Yeah, very, very stupid. Anyway, I've been the beginning now of 8 different editions, right? So 9. So 2nd until 10th, and this is the most feels bad I've ever had as an intro. Let's just put it that way. I probably shouldn't have versed Eldar, but you were coming over, so I probably should have played literally any other faction as my first. But that's okay. I one of the things that anyone who's a reasonably good competitive player will know this, that the better you get in 40k, it usually correlates to the better your movement, but also your second movement phase, which is generally the charge / fight phase, right? So a lot of high-level competitive players talk about how you've got generally 2 to 3 movement phases. You've got your move phase, and then you've got your charge phase, and then
you got your fight,
through say Hormigans or whatever, you've got like in essence a third movement phase, right? And movement phase, and Nick Argent and pretty much any really high-level competitive player talks about this, is movement phase is where you win the game.
Yep.
So if you can kind of link that movement phase to multiple movement phases, you can get to places, you can tag things, you can get on objectives, etc.
Lock stuff up.
Yeah, you win games through movement phases if you can get multiple movement phases, because you can, through a spell, you can move again. You can charge something, you can pile in, etc., etc. 10th ed removes that concept.
Yeah.
Because the better you get... So
actually, Elder have it.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah, I know. But the point... Elder have everything. This is why they're top tier. The point being is, the better you get at this game, the more you start leveraging the movement / multiple movement phases. And so when Games Workshop come out and say it's simplified, not simple, but then they decimate charge / combat by charging, is because melee in general now is
garbage,
pretty much crap. There are exceptions. There are exceptions, but it's pretty much crap.
Yeah.
Because all melee weapons in general are now much lower AP.
Strength
way
is
less
garbage.
attacks. The strength is nowhere near what you need to do to actually get things through, right? So melee is not that good. Then you have stuff like Overwatch, which punishes, like absolutely punishes melee in the movement phase, which there is no way that should be a thing. And then you've got like 2d6 heroic interventions in essence. It's not just heroics that can do 3 or 6, but this is like, I'm going to just charge you in essence, because anything can heroic, or even do it for free, some armies.
And then even that is saying you have to get into base-to-base contact on your roll as well, which means you can't do some...
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to next. So melee in general is weaker because of those things, and then the movement component of the melee is neutered. And so the movement of the charge and melee phase that you were gaining before, forgetting the damage, just the extra movement, that's gone. The actual ability for a high-level player to capitalize on the amount of effort and kind of practice and skill that they have, it goes away. So simplified, not simple, just means high-level players are not punished, but the high-level players are not rewarded for actually being able to play the game.
Yeah, it's like back then, 9th edition, you roll a 12-inch on your charge, you could get to some really wild spots from just stringing out and all that. But now you roll a 12-inch charge, you all have to go to base contact because you're...
If possible, but the ability for you to do those wild... high-level plays is gone. Like,
it's just minimized.
One of my favorite things that I did, it was WTC last year, against the Mercs, the white
Russian,
shirt team. They had Belarus and Russian players and things like that, right? And my elder opponent, he forward deploys 2 Warwalkers, one on each side of the board. So we're playing Hammer and Anvil, one on each side of the board. I've got a 19-man gargoyle unit. I get a 6 on advance. I go first. I get the 6 in advance. So I move out 18. I make the charge. So I got, advance and charge spell. I make the charge. It was a big charge. I wrapped this one, but then through my charge and pile in, I tagged the other one and wrapped it as well. So I had a double wrap on turn 1 with 2 Warwalkers. This unit of gargoyles now was getting shot, because even if he desperate break out one of them, he can't do both. That you can't do that anymore.
No.
And that's the type of play where if you can see it and actually line it up, you can swing an entire game based on that.
The game's over then.
That's what I'm saying. Like a high level player, like, I'm talking myself up here, but I'm saying good players can see this, set it up. If it gets a little bit lucky, you can do it.
And
now
punish
it's
them. Yeah.
no, too bad so sad.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, I can see them fixing it over the thing. Like, Ninth developed and had different types of metas and all that. And these things can be adjusted, but I don't know. The thing about the charge and combat phase was more about leveraging the movement, not so much the damage. It was about leveraging movement and getting in those positions. That's a core mechanic that's been changed in 10th. And this is why, like, Eric and I, Eric messaged me. It's just like combat and charge is dead.
Yeah,
and that's the problem. It's not that things are a little bit simplified. It's just the damage component of it. That was never really the big thing. Gargoyles aren't going to do anything to Warwalkers. It's the positioning of it. It's blocking the whole movement of an entire army. That's really sad to miss. You get to a place that you can start seeing positions in a game,
seeing when they've punished and being able to punish them with
and now you can't. And it's like it's like communism where everyone's shit. It's like, no, we can't have those good players be good. No, everyone's going to be terrible. You all got back to your you can't play with technique. So everyone's playing with Lego. Some people get really good and they play with technique, and then we all go back to Duplo.
Big blocks.
It's big blocks. Look, you can't be trusted with the technique. So, rather than all of us getting back to Lego again, no. Go back to the
You build your tower.
Look, we'll all become tower players very shortly. And this is because Duck's not on this podcast. You see, if you hear Duck, that's all right. All right, so I just wanted to kind of say, like, I put a note to myself. It's just like, it's big sad, and I was thinking to myself a little bit downstairs as we were doing it, but also, just having a quick chat with Eric before we started. I think that's what it is, man. I think
you've just lost 2 phases out of the game.
Yeah, and a whole bunch of movement, and you could only leverage that if you were a good player. Yeah. Most normal, we'll say, average player were never leveraging charge or pile-ins to the full extent it could be. This was pretty much when you train. Like, I've trained people up before, like, both as paid and as well as just normal, normal training. That was the big lesson step. After you kind of you understand how the game works.
You plateau out, and then your next big step is just
leveraging the third movement step in essence. And now that's gone. It's not gone forever. There are still cool things. Like, I was trying to do them downstairs, but even when you get there, you're not punished in any way because everyone's got desperate breakout. Yeah. Regardless, everyone.
You can shoot into combat now.
Now you can shoot in combat almost for free. Yeah. It is a bit disappointing. Yeah. I wonder how they're going to fix it, or if they're going to fix it at all. If not, like fifth ed was a little bit like this, where the meta turned into almost completely shooting. Like the whole leaf blower guard. It was leaf blower guard, Grey Knights, Blood Angels were getting there. I know McGowan was still playing Elder back then. And that's where I met Eric when he was a little kid still then. And he was still running the Termagants and all that, but he was leveraging the movement tricks to, trying to win some games there. That was kind of like the end of fifth. That's how it kind of combat wasn't a big thing. It was more just positioning and shooting you off the board.
Tabling,
That's possibly what 10th's going to be like, but it's a bit disappointing. Because it's shooting without the movement tricks. Yep. Like 5th was shooting, but with movement tricks. This is shooting with no movement tricks.
And now even if you find a cool gap in the movement phase, I'm just going to overwatch you with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, you hit the nail on the head.
Sorry. Your Eldar, I'm going to make it a 6. I'll make the wound a 6. That's devastating wounds now. Have 2d6 mortals on your 3 wound solitaire. Nice.
Yeah. That's not only did you literally do that, but it doesn't take a lot of effort to do that either. It's you need a 1 on your pile, like just literally a dice, because you can flip one of those very easily, and then if you happen to have a 6, great. If not, you still have multiple sources of rerolls to hit and to wound, and sometimes you don't even need that. Like you just go, cool. All right, look. I'll get at least 1 hit. I'll roll the other dice. Oh, look at that. 2 hits. Cool. I'll just roll the wounds. I don't even need to worry about the multiple wounds. Oh, you know what? I might as well.
Yeah, why not? Screw this little solitaire. Ka-chow.
That's right. The first game, the solitaire did nothing because you teleported and then shot him.
Yeah.
Second game, I go, oh, okay, finally, I get to use
Blitz.
my solitaire. Blitz and Overwatch.
Wraith Knight go back. Solo who? Yeah.
Yes. Like, this may be just an Elder thing. Like, I'll be playing some other games over the next week or so against non-Elder things. But I think there's going to be a limitation of how invested I get in when what makes me the amount of effort, time and effort that I put into, getting to where I have, like, because ninth, I've achieved the highest I've ever achieved in this game, and it was to me the most fun, etc., etc. Right? It definitely was in my mind the highest skill gap. Skill. It was very what do they call it? Skill ceiling type thing.
Yeah,
it was
a lot of roofs.
Yeah, but it was getting very bloated. Right, like some of my friends, they said, "Oh, I want to learn, 40k," and I said, "Just wait until 10th because, like, getting into 9th, you would need to know a PhD."
Yeah.
But that was also good if you put the time and effort into actually doing it.
Much better player than
the difference between a beginner player, a good player, and a
player.
person who put in literally thousands of hours. It was huge.
Crazy,
you could actually stratify it. Now, when you kind of mitigate the movement shenanigans and the kind of combat phase and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, but saying that too, it's a good... The way it's playing out right now, it is a good time for people to start playing if they want to start playing, because it is, like you said, simplified. It's just...
Just don't play against Elder.
No. And if they change things, you're going to get very punched. But right now, you're good. You're safe.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
the key to this game now is roll sixes. That's all you got to do. You roll sixes, everything has dev wounds, and they die.
Yeah. I was sad though. Like, I charged the Wraith Knight with like a whole bunch of things, I not only did nothing, but it's like I need, I'm strength 6, and I still need 6s to wound. I was very, very sad.
Toughness is
Yeah.
Strength of stuff and toughness now. Like Dark Lancers. Wounded on 4s.
Yeah, or 5s if you buff your
if
dude.
I put the neg 1 damage on it.
So Dark Lance, the
wound,
premier anti-tank in Dark Elder, except for Heat Lancers, which is strength 14, by the way. Still only wounds a Wraith Knight on 4s. That's crazy.
Or the fact that I thought I was about to cop a whole bunch of mortal wounds, and then turns out Wraith Knights are monsters. Not even vehicles.
That's right.
So anti-vehicle does not work on them.
No, and there's nothing in Dark Elder that's anti-monster. I've got lots of anti-infantry, and I've got lots of anti-tank. I have nothing that's anti-monster. And then all my melee, like the Incubi and all that type of stuff, I'll be wounding you on 5s, because there's +1 to wound with Drazar.
Oh, and I have a 2-up save. Cool.
Yeah, and it's only neg 2, so... Alright, look, I'll start ranting in a second if I keep going. What else have we got? Devastating Wounds is I've written it down here. There was elements of Devastating Wounds, not to the extent that it's gone to in 10th, but Devastating Wounds in 9th that was triggered off certain things was getting a little bit ridiculous. Like, the Moirax, not Moiraxes, what were the ones that turned the hits into mortal wounds?
Oh, what do they call it? Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The knights that, had not the Gatlings, but the whatever they're called.
Oh, the Volkites.
Volkites, yeah. Stuff like Volkites were getting a little bit crazy. Especially Iron Hands had, the super Volkite dude who could reroll everything and explode on 5s.
And he was
like
a character, and you could never target him, and he'd just sit out the front with his 2 little...
Yeah, unless you had a whole bunch of Shroud Runners.
Yeah.
So that's how I killed my fair share of those characters.
Or just smite him off the table.
That's an interesting guy there. You just
Rangers,
move your thing.
Yeah.
My DJ, flip it.
Yeah.
That plus 5-man Doom plus
have fun.
A super smite. Oh, it died.
Yeah,
look at that.
We shouldn't have left it there. Yeah.
Anyway, that was getting like the end of the 9th. That there were elements of that kind of like large scale mortal wound generation, but you really had to build into it.
Yeah, it wasn't in every data sheet.
No, it
Your
wasn't.
army was specified to...
It
was only on some things.
Not
as well.
every army
No.
had it, but also not... for the armies that did have it, you couldn't just get it.
No, it was... You would get like one or two. You're not getting every
or
dice
you would
roll.
have to spend a bunch of CP through upgrades or wall of
like
trades.
Imperial
or
Knights
whatever.
just using the stratagem to turn all their damage into mortals. They're still burning 3 CP to go through and punch that stuff, and it's which is like a solid investment into something that you could bounce onto by rolling one mortal. You know what I mean? Whereas now, almost every Elder data sheet has devastating wounds. It's just
and
cool.
Elder's a special case. Yeah, we do recognize this, but this is not a special case to any army. Every army has has devastating wounds in it. Even Dark Elder has devastating wounds through a lot of access to Haywire, be it the Scourges, be it Talos, whatever you want to call it.
Taking
Right?
Harleys in it, yeah.
Yep, and so you've got devastating wounds that trigger off anti, and it's reasonably commonplace. It's much more persistent and pervasive in Elder, yes, but it's why, straight away GW go, oh yeah, Death Watch, Stern Guard. Yeah, we didn't mean for, anti-infantry 2+ to turn into devastating wounds.
300 mortals, yeah.
Yeah, so the point being is, yes, 9th Ed had devastating wound-like mechanics. Nowhere as prevalent. 10th, everyone's got access to it in some way, and some armies have it skewed. So, like, again, Dark Elder, I have devastating wounds, but it's only linked pretty much to anti-tank. Not anti-monster, not anti-infantry, etc. You, as Elder, got devastating wounds to everything.
Yeah.
And yes, not every army has to be identical, but it's like when you've got that kind of imbalance and then a mechanic that guarantees that, whereas there's nothing in Dark Elder that guarantees it. It's just like, here's one dice that guarantees that you're taking 2d6 mortal wounds.
Rough.
Yeah, it's not, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. Like, this is the kind of mentality, when people say, it's like, did you even test this? Like, I do research and testing for a living. Like, you don't have to think too difficult. You don't have to be Stephen Hawking to work this out. This is
But maybe they just didn't roll many 6s, so they didn't notice it.
But you don't even need to roll any 6s. You need a Farseer behind and just turn a 1 into a 6. That's what I mean. It's this is not like unobvious stuff. This is not like edge case stuff. This is everyone has access to it. These guys have it consistently.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. There will be some changes for sure.
Yeah. There will be, but it's the concept of devastating wounds is an interesting one.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's overall good or bad.
Yeah. Well, they said they changed the game to be less killy, but if there were no devastating wounds, sure, because some of the stuff, the AP is so low, it doesn't matter. But now it's just the devastating wounds just punish the less killiness because it just turns it into mortals and nothing has a...
You're correct, because like I'm getting like out of line of sight 3-up saves on my on my Harley bikes and shit like that. That's great.
Yeah.
But then the things that go devastating wounds, it's like you've got AP 1 infinite.
Yeah.
You've got AP infinite that go through invulnerable saves. To everything else is you're still getting your 2-up saves. Like my Dark Lancers, neg 3 against your Wraith Knight.
I'm taking on.
You're in cover generally because it's really easy to get in cover. You just put a hand behind cover.
That's 4s. Yeah.
You're on 4s.
Yeah.
So it's like I've got this anti-tank Dark Lance. 4-up save.
Cool.
I've got this one, distortion cannon turns everything into mortal wounds. You get 0 saves.
Yeah. Have fun.
That's the difference. Like it's so skewing. It's not only is it AP infinite, because you still get an invulnerable save against AP infinite.
Yeah.
You don't get a save against this.
Just you don't get to play the game.
Yeah, it's anyway. Look, I don't know exactly how they would fix this, or if they're going to. Like my point being is, I'm just honing in on things I'm noticing after 2 games and watching. So reading a bunch, watching a bunch of battle reports and stuff like that. And then playing the 2 games and really thinking about it. It's The skill ceilings dropped because of the mortal wounds. So I'm just summarizing kind of the last 20 minutes of conversation. It's skill ceiling drops because of charge and combat and pile-in shenanigans. That's all gone. So big skill ceiling drop. The disparity between the armies are much stronger, and we'll get into this the next point. So just remember this: the disparity between armies are strong primarily because of devastating wound activation ability, but also, and this is the third element, what makes a strong faction strong right now in the index phase is because CP is very, very limited. If your faction ability can mitigate
CP cost,
kind of CP minimization, then you're going to be a strong army.
Yep.
So if your army needs CP to be good, or has a weaker faction ability that kind of runs out, like Dark Elder, for example, then you're always going to be mid-tier.
Yep.
Whereas if you have an army, and this is again why Elder is awesome, but there's also a bunch of other armies that are really top tier now, and Space Marines are one of them, is because their faction ability, with the kind of almost unlimited rerolls, with the ability to kind of trigger mortal wounds and stuff like that, is so strong, and it mitigates the lack of CP. Like it's that kind of element, and then the kind of few CP elements that you do just enhance your faction ability.
And then I still have the Warlord that on a 4-up I get he gives me an extra CP in the command phase, and then all that, so I can still I still got tons of CP to burn.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just
yeah, and not every army, like Drukhari, don't have that. The closest you get is an enhancement on the Archon, so that when you enhance, the kind of power from pain, your own army with a CP, you get that CP back.
Yeah. But
there's no CP generation at all in Dark Elder.
But then again, you do have the Vect, which is nice, which you can hurt
armies. But that doesn't help you. No. That it kind of annoys your opponent. And if your opponent, like Elder, they don't rely on CP, they rely on their strands. My Vect doesn't work on strands, my Vect works on your CP. But if you don't really care, because you don't really use CP that much, then
what's the point?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like your faction ability kind of mitigating the loss of CP. I think that's what's... If you're going to do a tier list, and we're not, that's not something that we're going to be interested in doing, but if you were to do a tier list, that's what you would focus on. It's where your damage primarily comes from. If it's melee, like I would suggest that almost always melee centric armies like Worldies and things like that are going to drop down, just because you're generally slow. Does your faction ability allow you to mitigate the lack of CP, and can you trigger devastating wounds reasonably consistently? If you say yes in essence to any of those, you're going to be high. If you say yes to one or two of those, then you'll be kind of mid-tier, and if you say no to all of them, then you'll be right down the bottom in essence. So I've got a few more notes here. I've got fly changes. Now, I don't know if this is a good or bad thing. I just want to make it clear from our... So,
more of an annoying thing, right? At the end of the day, going from fly just being to now you have to measure over stuff or whatnot. You can't fly. You have to go around and measure. If you wanted to go over, you have to fly over the top of it and measure the distance over, or now you have to fly around. So
fly was very powerful. We can't lie. Having fly where you're standing on one side of the wall, and then you in essence just ignore this, that you rely on this wall for defense, but then you can ignore it as part of the movement for everything. That is absolutely very strong. But then going the full, you can ignore all of it, it's just different. I don't know if it's good or bad. It is slowing the game down, which again hurts the whole idea of combat, things like that, because generally the things that are fast like let's take Elder. Things that are fast don't have the infantry or beast keyword.
No.
Then the Beastmasters are the exception, and if you want a guaranteed 3 wounds on things, take a unit of Beastmaster. So you spend 120 points to put 3 wounds on anything.
They're good. They're fast. They pre-game move. You can't complain. That's high tier combat in 10th edition.
Yeah,
3 wounds is good numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. AP 1 or 0.
Yeah.
There is a devastating wound character in there.
Yes. I mean,
woo. All right, so. Jesus Christ. We're talking about Beastmasters being the
never seen it before.
combat.
I didn't know that there was birds in 40k. I thought I was playing AOS when you put them on the table, but yeah.
Yeah, look, it's just different. The fly, for the majority, is going to be different. It was possibly too strong in the past. Now it is... I'm not going to say it's weak, because it's generally still good to have fly.
It's not what it was.
It's just nowhere near as good as it was. And if you're not playing combat, which I'm, when I'm banging my head against Elder and trying to run 6 taluses, it's probably just a not good thing to do. Even though taluses went down in points, it's like they're still just a 7-inch moving, not even 8 anymore. 7-inch moving, T7. No advance in charge, T7.
5-up funnel pain though, yeah. You got to save against all those dev wounds.
You know how most things that were T7 are like now T10 or something like that.
Nuts.
These were T7 and they stayed T7. All right, look, and I already mentioned it. It's very easy to get cover, and because exception mortal wounds through devastating wounds, but everything in general has unless you're bloody Elder, low to mid tier AP, which means saves are relevant because everything's getting cover saves. Like even the fucking Wraith Knight, what sticks his toe or his arm behind a piece of terrain, and now all of a sudden he's getting cover because you have to draw line of sight to every part of your thing, which seems ridiculous. But saying that, we'll have to see. Is there going to be a big propensity of ignore cover stuff? Because I know, again, some of the top tier armies, Space Marines, for example, they get the ability to ignore cover on a lot of stuff. And I think the Devastator, not the Desolator Marines, I think they can ignore cover through
the outer line of sight just is efficient. And
so possibly that's where the meta is going to move towards, 6-12 months from now. They'll... Because things get... The cover trigger happens so easily nowadays... ignore cover is going, its stonks are going to go up, right? That's possibly where it's going to have to go.
Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I'm just noticing things. I'm just noticing things, and from a release of an edition, this is probably my most saddest one, just because of what we talked about for 10 minutes was high level players are now back at the same playing field as ordinary players, and it's not a elitist thing. I just want to make sure it's really clear here, guys. It's more people who have put in
the effort.
High level Counter-Strike players or high level StarCraft players they put in the hours and effort to get there, and then they get knocked right back down. And if it was for something in particular, we could eat it, but it's not that it's vindictive. It's just there's no obvious game balance win. There's no if it was because it would be more fun if this happened. It doesn't. There's nothing obvious. And maybe 6-12 months from now, we'll eat our own words here. But you know, what I mean, when you nerf a whole bunch of things, and the specific nerf are on the high level players, and I know StarCraft had this a little bit where they would nerf certain units, and most mid-tier players were going, "Why did you nerf that? It wasn't that strong." But it was only strong at the the GSL cups and things like that. Yeah, I don't see the game plan just because I don't. We don't have as many kind of reps as say StarCraft, right? We don't have as much stats. We don't have the kind of replayability and all that type of stuff where we can really go in and see build orders and just do tiny tweaks. So 40k has never been, and probably will never, because the games last 6x long, as I say, a StarCraft game.
And they're also played in people's backyards, in their garages, whereas StarCraft
Yeah,
is
the
played,
vast majority, whereas StarCraft is only played online.
Online, so there's always data for it.
Anyway, look, that's a whole other conversation. I probably could do a whole podcast on that. One of the things, and Micah, if you're listening to this, I promised I would say something I suggested when you're learning a new faction or a new edition, and I'll just talk about new factions. Is I like coming up with 2 or 3 archetypes of a faction, and then playing each of those archetypes at least 2 or 3 times, and that way you have 6 to 10 games under your belt.
Yep.
And then you can start really honing in on
what you like.
And
exactly. What you play to your ability too.
Yeah.
What works for you.
Yep. And there's a whole bunch more I can talk about there. Like, I think the conversation Micah, Ivan, and I at Eric's, we talked for about 20 minutes about this, but that's the general tip I'll give to anyone. If you're interested in a faction or just exploring that faction / edition, but we'll say faction, don't just pick one archetype.
Don't go on the web and find the top deck and just play that.
Or if you do find at least 2.
Yep.
Minimum 2. Like, realistically, I would always try to get 3, but do at least 2, and then play both those. If you're going to do 2, at least 2 games. So that the bare minimum you'd have to do is 4 games. So you've got 2 archetypes. So let's say Elder, you've got Meat Mountain, like what I tried today, and then I'm going to do my next archetype will be lots of Venom spans. And then I've now played 2 games of Meat Mountain, and then I'm going to play at least 2 games of there, and I'll be able to understand what the kind of how it feels, what the differences are, etc. And then I'll explore that more. You can't just play one game with one faction and just say it's dead.
Yeah.
And even if you play one, like the faction 5 games in a row, but it's the same archetype, and you're just banging your head against the wall, and that archetype has limitations.
It's not working for you. Yeah.
All right, mate. I think that was a good conversation.
Pleasure coming on.
That's all right. You want to anything you want to say as a wrap up?
No, that was good. Yeah, but 10th is going to be something.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah,
I'll probably play a couple of games more over the next couple of weeks to help out the Aussie team.
We got list subs due for Gladiators on Monday, so that's going to be fun.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure it's Monday.
There's no player pack out. That's why I didn't know.
No, I think lists are due Monday. So
awesome. Well, we'll see how we go over the next few weeks. If not much changes, I'll probably
go into AOS.
No, I'll just probably take a break from 40k until some big change happens, until the guys get back from Europe.
Yeah.
So I'll play a bunch of games, help them out for the Europe, but
after that,
this intro to 10th, I'm not as enthused about. Let's put it that way. Or I could just become a cuck and join the
Triple
Elder
Red
players.
Yeah.
I say sorry, Dark Elder guys.
Can't beat them, join them.
I am now a triple Wraith Knight main.
You can play your Dark Elder, just play it in Elder.
That's right. Yeah. It's like 3 Wraith Knights and
3 Ravengers.
3 Ravengers.
Yeah, there you go.
I played Dark Elder. Yeah. Just ignore the giant monsters. They don't live there.
Yeah, and Yunari as well. Yeah, the full Elder.
I'll get the gang. That's right.
Add some.
So 1,000 points of Dark Elder, 500 points of Harlequins,
and 500
and then 500 points of Elder. And then the 500 points of Elder will do like 7 times the damage of literally
everything. It will be your army. It's like Ollie. And then...
Ollie and the Mercs.
In the Mercs, yeah. He's your Wraith Knight. And they're all... I don't know. I don't even know what they are. Something.
Beast packs.
Yeah. They'll do their 3 wounds.
That's right.
They'll get their 3 points out of 17. Yeah. But Ollie is your Wraith Knight that has a lot of 6s for fate dice.
Oh, all right. I think we've now annoyed most of Queensland, so it's good.
Perfect.
All right, mate. Thank you very much.
Pleasure being here.
All right. See ya.